got a game day edition of Birds 365 coming your way right now. John McMullen, Jody McDonald, joined by our most frequent guest here on Birds 365. That's because John goads him into it every single time we need him. But when he joins us, he always comes with the goods. From Sports Illustrated, our buddy Ed Kracz jumps aboard Birds 365. How are you today, AK?
Doing great, thanks. Yeah, beautiful, sun shining, big game tonight in South Philly. Great day.
There's a game tonight? Yeah, game day at Kracz. That's the best at Kracz, as I said. I expect to see you down at Lincoln Financial Field in about 2 hours, I think, to beat the traffic. That'll be me, not you.
Well, I'll tell you what, last year when I can't remember who it was, but I thought it was a 1:00 kickoff, and I showed up at 10:30, and it was a 4:30 game. It might have been the Saints for some reason. I'm thinking
Saints.
I
remember that.
I got there and I'm like, boy, this pandemic has really put a real dent in things here. There's nobody here.
Both of you guys are early arrivals. We know that is the case. Tampa's going to arrive in time and 4-1 and looking good and defending Super Bowl champions. I'm painting a pretty grim picture, Ed. Give me a nugget off the top as to why the Eagles have a fighter's chance against the Bucs tonight.
I'm going to go with the pass defense. You know, that Bucs pass defense isn't very good, and now it's going to be without Antoine Winfield, the safety, and we're going to probably see our old friend Andrew Adams.
Yeah.
With the Eagles in camp. Yep. So that's the little nugget that I have is this pass defense for the Tampa Bay Bucs is dead last in the NFL. And the Eagles have some receivers that are young, yes, but they are coming along each week with Quez Watkins and Devontae Smith. I think they can do some damage in the pass game. Will it be enough? No, I don't know.
I've told fans this all weekend. Can we at least, for the reason you just spoke of, and the other side of the spectrum, that Tampa Bay run defense, can we at least press pause on establish the run for 1 week, and then we can get back to it next week, because you got to take advantage of the Tampa Bay pass defense, the secondary. It's so banged up. They bring Richard Sherman in basically off the street. He's got to play a ton of snaps. So they're really injured on top of the fact they haven't been that effective. You mentioned Antoine Winfield. This game's on Sunday. He probably plays and gets through the concussion protocol. Can't get through by Thursday. You got to take advantage of it, right? Forget about the run.
Yeah, and you know, you could probably say the same thing about Rob Gronkowski, who has the rib injury. If this game were Sunday, he probably would be able to play. He's close, and maybe even Levante David. They're really talented linebacker who will not play, and that's another big blow to that defense. But yeah, this isn't a game for the run the football crowd, or for Miles Sanders, actually, for that, either. But listen, you just can't live on the pass, and I know the Eagles have been doing that, but we saw them try to do it against the Cowboys. They ran the ball 3 times to the running backs. We saw them try to do it against the Chiefs. These high-powered offenses, and let's face it, this Bucs offense takes a backseat to nobody when it comes to explosive offenses. You know, they've got so many weapons. I was looking at it again this morning with, Godwin, Evans, Antonio Brown, running backs, and Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. I mean, O.J. Howard's a very good tight end. I mean, they just have weapons everywhere. So you're going to have to try to control the ball somehow. And if you're not going to do it with your run game, and I don't think you'll be able to, because like you said, John, they give up like 45 yards a game on the ground, which is crazy ridiculous. So you're going to have to do it with screens. And, the Eagles have run, I think, 29 screen passes in these first 5 games. It was so bad to watch in Carolina. Yeah. They just kept doing it over and over, and they had no success with it. But we've seen that part of the game work in previous games. So I expect the game plan to be, again, screen pass heavy and try to take deep shots.
All right, so let me get this straight. I've heard you guys lay it out and done a very nice job. Thank you very much. I think I got a pretty good grasp on this. The Bucs defense has a weakness. They give up a lot of runs against the pass. The Eagles like to throw the football. Well, then let's start at the beginning. The coin flip. Eagles win. Do they defer like it seems like everybody in the National Football League does? Or do they actually say, yeah, give us the football. We think we can throw it against the Buccaneers. Let's start with us with the football in our hands.
Love that mentality, Jody. I'm right there with you, but they won't do it. They'll defer.
Didn't they do it once? I think they did it once earlier this season. I have to double check.
Maybe in the opener they took the ball. Maybe in the season opener in Atlanta. Yeah.
I agree with Jody, Ed, because if you're playing a team that's better than you, you want to shorten the game. Take the football right away. Hope you go on a 7-8 minute drive. Shorten the game. Jody's right. I mean, nobody thinks that way. Typically, if I'm Tampa Bay and I have the great offense, if I'm Kansas City, if I'm Dallas, yeah, I'll defer. I have confidence in my offense. But if I'm the underdog, I want to shorten the game. Is that crazy?
No, I love that approach. It's like if you take a Lamborghini out for a test drive, you want to hit that gas right away, man. You want to get that thing, revved up to where 100 miles an hour, and that's the way it is with your offense. You want to come out and you want to hit the gas right away, and you want to see if you can take that 7-0 lead early and put the other team on its heels. Now, Tampa Bay is an experienced team. They don't care if they're down 7-0, with 10 minutes to go in the first quarter. But, yeah, I would take the ball, see what my offense can do, get down there and get some points early.
I mentioned this to John earlier in the weekend. I saw a great stat, a nugget you could call it, about the Eagles and Thursday nights. If I'm looking to be optimistic about the Eagles on Thursday nights, there is some history that says maybe we can go there. Do you know the nugget I'm referring to, Ed Kracz?
I do. And there's been some, I tweeted out that it was 7 straight wins on Thursday because that's what the NFL communication sent me in an email was the Eagles have won 7 straight Thursday games. But now I've seen it's 6 straight Thursday games.
6 is still not bad. That's not bad. 6 straight wins on Thursday night.
And you consider, listen, they went into Green Bay, I think 2 years ago and won on a Thursday night when no one expected them to.
The infamous Jeff Lurie wanted to throw the ball more game, even though they beat the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay.
Yep, that's the one I'm talking about. And Malcolm Jenkins makes the big interception. Aaron Rodgers couldn't get the ball into the end zone on first and goal. He had 4 cracks at it. So they won that game. Then they went down to Carolina in their Super Bowl year, and they won a really hard-fought game against a good Panthers team that year. So, yeah, listen, they've done well on Thursday, and they're going to have to do really, really well on this Thursday to beat the Bucs. But it's a great stat. It's one.
It is, and it's 6-0 since 2016.
Okay,
which is Doug Peterson. So Doug Peterson was 6-0 on Thursday Night Football. Now you have Nick Sirianni. Now, look, part of that is just circumstance, opponent, where you are. By the way, veteran team typically under Doug in a keep it simple, stupid week where everybody defaults to their DNA as a team. Now we have a rookie head coach with a young team, especially on offense. And you're facing the team that's probably easiestly can lean on their DNA, their quarterback, and just say, go out there and play. I don't like this setup for Nick Sirianni. Am I too negative, Ed Kracz? Well, I'm always too negative.
Not at all, but you're right. I mean, Doug had the veteran team. This is a young team at key positions, and remember that Carson went on those Thursday nights most of them. I'd have to look and see which of those games he was injured for. I would bet there was
probably
one
quite
or
a few.
But listen, you say the rookie head coach, you also have a rookie defensive coordinator in Jonathan Gannon. And, we talked to him, I think, on Monday, I guess it was Tuesday. And he was talking about throwing stuff out the window, coverages that he wants to play, but he's got to throw them out the window because you can't practice them. Everything's a walkthrough. Yeah. So, they're kind of stripping things down too, and they're going to have to kind of rely on, whatever their DNA is at this point. He also talked about, I do have a scheme. Remember, he took a lot of heat last week for, saying, I don't have a scheme. And everybody's like, geez, does he know what he's doing? He kind of came out on Tuesday and said, hey, I flubbed that answer. I do have a scheme. He didn't mention what it was. It was still about putting players in the best positions to do the job. So I thought he did a nice job in Carolina, Gannon, with some of the adjustments that he made. I think he blitzed a little bit more. He also was able to do some things up front with that D line to free up Fletcher Cox with some stunting and different pressures from different angles. So, I hope that that's kind of their template going into Tampa, is what they did in Carolina, and I suspect it will be.
All right, Eddie, Kay, and John, I'd like take from both of you guys on this one. I know we all agree that this season is, at least in part, an evaluation of Jalen Hurts, that the Eagles are trying to come to the determination, is this guy our quarterback for 22 and 23 and 24? Assuming we're all correct about that. Each game is another test for Jalen Hurts. Are these tests weighted? Do you take more out of a matchup against a team like Tampa Bay, the defending champions, Tom Brady on the other side, than you would say, I don't know, last week against Carolina, young, somewhat ascending team against a more comparable quarterback like Sam Darnold? Are the evaluations on Jalen Hurts being weighted this year in the minds of the guys who are going to make that decision in the Eagle front office, is my question.
Yeah, I think it could be. I think they're going to take into a wide body of information, and I think one of that is going to be, listen, he might not be our quarterback for 2023, but can we give him 2022 and use some of this draft capital next year to build other parts of this team, like defense? I think if they have those 3 first-round picks, I would go defensive line, linebacker, and safety. You're hoping that 2022 Hurts can be the guy. I don't really see a good quarterback coming into the draft at this point. I know there will be guys that will rise up, but we already saw Spencer Rattler get benched in Oklahoma. He was
That's amazing, by the way.
It is. I mean, he was the guy that was going to be the first quarterback taken. Now we've seen some other quarterbacks step up, Matt Corral in Mississippi and, Malik Willis at Liberty. But, I'm not sure how good of a class it is. So you hope that, that's taken into account, is, he's doing good enough to be our quarterback in 2022. He's growing with these wide receivers that are still around his same age, 22, 23 years old, with Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, maybe Jalen Reagor. But listen, his numbers are pretty good. I mean, he's scored 10 touchdowns, or is accounted for 10 touchdowns, 7 through the air, 3 with his legs. He's 5th in total yards among players in the NFL, behind guys like Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Tom Brady. Good players. He's 5th in total yards. I mean, this guy can get it done with his arm and his legs. Now, the counter for me to that would be they're really asking him to do a whole lot. He's accounted for 87% of their total yards this year, which, quarterbacks are going to be up there naturally because of the position. But you're doing it at the expense of Miles Sanders and Kenny Gainwell. I mean, to me, I think you need to have a little bit more designed runs. They're really putting a lot on Hurts's plate. So they're going to have a lot to evaluate, Jody, when it comes to him, whether or not they weighed it that, hey, he played the Chiefs, he played the Bucs. We all knew coming into this season, when you looked at the schedule, that there was no chance they were going to win either of those games, right? So maybe they take that into account and they do weight it a little bit or curve it, however you want to put it. But I think it's going to be a whole, bunch of analytical information that they're going to analyze, overanalyze to make a decision on him.
It's interesting. To answer Jody's question, I think they should be grading on a curve. I mean, I think it's unfair if you're not.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about something you mentioned. They're putting too much on Jalen Hurts' plate. I think from a number standpoint, I agree with you, Ed. You look at this whole offense is Jalen Hurts. Leads the team in rushing, obviously, and passing. You have to be as the starting quarterback. But the percentage of the total offense looks skewed. On the other hand, I look at it and say, are they asking him to do enough? Because when it is bubble screen, swing pass, screen pass, it might, again, without that context, and you and I were front row to see how ugly that first half was in Charlotte last week. They didn't ask him to do a lot, but he was a part of all the numbers because the offense is driven through him. When you talk about those intermediate throws, is he the long-term answer quarterback? That's what I want to see. I want to see them take off the shrink wrap and put a bigger offense together to see what Jalen Hurts can do. Is that crazy, or is it, maybe he's not doing enough?
Yeah, I mean, when I say he's doing a lot, I mean, he's really the one that's deciding whether he's handing the ball off or not. You know, like they're asking him to read the defense when he goes to make a handoff. Miles Sanders said earlier in this year that every play is a running play. Okay, so it's incumbent on Hurts to decide, okay, this isn't going to work if I hand it to him. I'm going to keep it and see what I can do. I mean, that's asking him to do an awful lot. You know, when you talk about keeping it simple, I don't see the harm in saying, okay, let's toss it to Kenny Gainwell and get him on the edge, get him outside with speed. You know, let's see a little bit more variation to running the football instead of letting Hurts decide, yeah, I can't hand it off here because I'm reading this defender and, oh, he's going to smash Sanders in the hole and we're not going to get any yards. I say run some design plays. I mean, that when I'm talking about he's doing too much, I just think they're asking him to control too much of the game. I mean, take some of that decision making away from him and dial up some of these, get some guys to the perimeter. All their runs, it looks like, are between the tackles. And they're not getting anything outside.
Except late in the game when they run out of bounds.
Right.
Yeah, right. You know, it's just it's mind-boggling why they don't do that more. I mean, like I said, this is going to be a hard game to run against, a hard team to run against anyway, Tampa Bay. So yeah. I'm not sure you're going to see much of it, but I would like to see more than just, okay, the screen pass. Let's throw a screen pass, and that's really a run. That's an extension of the run. You know, stop with that, please. Hand that ball off, whether it's on the perimeter, but get guys outside the tackles.
By the way, real quick, I want to say this because Paul Domowitz, our buddy, just tweeted this out. So the Eagles' low run percentage, 37%, is 27th in the NFL. Throwing their 29 screens in the first 5 games, and that run percentage jumps to 46.4. So that was the Andy Reid mentality. Count the screens in the run game. They actually run it. That's where Nick is. We actually run it more than you think, even if it's not a run. That's the way they think.
That's not predictable at all. 29 screen passes. Geez, if you're a defensive coordinator, you're like, okay, we're ready for the screen. And remember how when Doug was here the last few years, it's like, how come there aren't any screens? Screen, where's the screen? And now here we are with another coach. It's like, please stop with all the screens. Yeah. So there has to be a happy medium in there somewhere, I think.
Yeah, I never bought when Andy Reid used it as an explanation. Well, a screen is a run. What are you talking about? No, it's not. It's a pass. And oh, by the way, how many did they throw to Miles Sanders, and how many yards did they get? Like a yard per screen play?
I think it was 6 yards and 5.
Of the run game, then guess what? Your run game sucks. How about you try and improve it? No, I'm not buying that. All right, let's go to the other side of the football and what the Eagles are going to have to try and do defensively against Tom Brady. Here's what scares the snot out of me tonight, Ed. They not only have 3 wide receivers, all of which have over 300 yards so far in the first 5 games, the only team in the NFL with such stats, but they got a 4th wide receiver, Ty Johnson, who I think could be a player tonight. Tom Brady's Tom Brady. Eagles going to have enough guys who can legitimately cover top flight wide receivers in the National Football League to keep Brady from having 300 or 300 plus. He only had 400 last week. But I'd settle if they could hold him to 300 tonight. Can they get that kind of coverage?
Well, I'd feel a lot better if Jonathan Gannon believed in the dime defense. You know, I think this is a game where you need your defensive backs on the field. You know, and the dime defense puts 6 of those on the field, but he doesn't play that. But you have a team. I mean, even Scotty Miller, you mentioned Ty Johnson. Scotty Miller is still a good receiver, too.
Yeah, Scotty's on IR. He is a good receiver.
Well, geez, thank goodness.
But they have a 4th receiver. Who is it?
Ty Johnson.
Ty Johnson, yeah.
Ty Johnson,
they're still really good. But you're right. Scotty Miller's one of those guys who they would use as that 4th receiver and just go deep down the field, and they would just kill you with man coverage. So the Eagles, it's a banged up team, a lot of injuries for Tampa Bay. Scotty Miller's so far down the list, you don't think about him, but he's a really good player. Problem is, they still have a really good fourth receiver.
Yeah. Jody, I don't think they're going to hold Tom Brady under 300 yards. I just don't see it. I mean, Mike Evans is a mismatch for a lot of teams. And, last week you were able to kind of focus in on DJ Moore being the guy that you have to stop. Yeah, you got Robbie Anderson, but we're going to put Darius Slay on DJ Moore. Now, what are you going to do tonight with these three receivers? I mean, Steve Nelson to me is a pretty good cornerback and probably a little underrated at this point in this defense. I like the Eagles corners this year. It looks like they have two very good ones in Slay and Nelson, but you have three. I mean, you're going to have to rely on Avonte Maddox, covering maybe Chris Godwin out of the slot, wherever they line him up. I mean, it's going to be a tall task. And again, I would like to get some more of my quicker athletes on the field, which means playing 6 defensive backs. And Gannon doesn't like to do that for whatever reason. That's not part of his scheme. So what are you going to do? I mean, are you going to have your linebackers try to cover one of these receivers or the tight end, OJ Howard, or Cameron Brate? I mean, they've just got guys all over the place, and you're going to really have to rely on your pass rush again. But the problem with that is Tom Brady really gets the ball out quickly. These defensive linemen should hopefully be taught this week, and I'm sure they know, but you got to get your hands up in the pass rush. You got to try to affect the passing lane because you're probably not going to get on to Brady unless he holds the ball for a deep shot, but he's going to get the ball out quick. And that means these D linemen have to get their arms up to try to block the passing lane and hopefully deflect the pass. Maybe it gets picked off. Because it's going to be a really, really tough matchup for this offense. And, we saw Gannon Sirianni try to match wits with, these explosive offenses by going toe to toe and try to outscore them against the Cowboys. Didn't work. Against the Chiefs, it didn't work. And I think he might try to do that again tonight. And I don't think it's going to work again.
Boy, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy, Ed. I thought it at the time. I've kind of forgotten about it because they came back, an improbable win in Carolina. You got to give them a lot of credit for perseverance. Team win, defense is great, special teams chips in with 2 big plays, the Jake Elliott field goal, the block punt, all that good. I go back, and we talked about Nick Sirianni as a rookie head coach and his game plans and the screens. You hit the nail on the head to me. Kansas City and Dallas, what the hell are you thinking trying to outscore those teams? So we go back to Jody's point about winning the coin toss. Take the football. Does he learn from Kansas City and Dallas? Does he try to shorten this game, whatever that looks like? I don't care what it looks like. It could be Jalen Hurts running the football. Is he going to learn from those losses against Kansas City and Dallas? Because they can't win a shootout. This can't be Super Bowl 52. No. They're not winning a shootout.
No, you're right. I don't know. Maybe it's a short week, right? We've all talked about the short week ad nauseum. Short week. Maybe this short week has maybe he hasn't had time to overthink this. And he'll have learned from that. You hope that he has learned from it. But what are you going to do to shorten the game? We already talked about this run game being difficult. It's going to be hard to run against this defense. Maybe the screens, maybe Jalen Hurts, maybe you try to do more RPOs on the outside with him, or maybe you try to get outside this. It's very fast, this defense, but not having Levante David in the middle, I think, is an advantage for the Eagles. Now, how are they going to take advantage of it? Are they going to try to hit some stuff on the perimeter that aren't screen passes? Are they going to try to, quick pitch to Kenny Gainwell, who can really fly? We'll see. I hope that he has learned his lesson, but I'm not real convinced that he has. Especially when like I said, when you look at this run defense, he's probably like, how are we going to control the ball against a team like this, so we're not going to be able to run very, very well against?
Eddie, I'm going to ask you to make a little bit of a prediction for me. Tampa's defense tonight against the Eagles offense. We know Lane Johnson is out again, so we're going to have Mailata on the right side and Dillard on the left side at the tackle positions. John Sky Dillard has played effectively since he's been thrown into the lineup.
I love when you say he's my guy. I just
he's your
think
guy. He always has been, and I think he'll die on that hill, McMullen, as a matter of fact. But he hasn't. He survived the last 2 weeks. Actually, got to give him a thumbs up. He has played well enough.
Which 3 weeks he's played well. 3 weeks. Give him credit, Jody.
2 as a starter, and Johnson's been out 3 straight weeks.
No, he was playing for Jordan at left
for Mailata. Yeah, right. Yeah. My bad. I meant 2 weeks. I meant with Mailata on the opposite side. Thank you for the correction. Which side do you think the Bucs try and get their pressure from? If they're going to be bringing their outside line back on one side, maybe a blitz every once in a while on one side, do they come at Mailata's end or Dillard's end?
I think they're going to mix it up. Both these tackles, listen, Mailata is good. We saw it last year, but he's not proven in this league over, the long term. So I think they're going to mix it up. I think they're going to try to confuse the Eagles with where they're coming, confuse this offensive line because it is kind of a patchwork. Mailata is not as good at right tackle as he is at left tackle. Now, maybe that could change with the more and more he plays there. And it looks like there's a chance that he could be playing there a lot in these next few weeks. We don't know what Lane Johnson's status is, but yeah, I think they'll probably try to confuse them with different looks. You have a 23-year-old quarterback in his 10th start. You have an offensive line that is pretty young with a rookie, Landon Dickerson on it. Now, Jason Kelsey, obviously the veteran, but it's a big load. And I would be concerned about pressure up the middle too with Ndamukong Suh, who, he isn't what he was, obviously, but he's still very good. And Vita Vea is just, a handful. And these guys can get right up into that quarterback's face and really wreak havoc. And quarterbacks, we all know, don't like to get pressure up the middle. So, you're going to see pressure coming from all different angles, I think, with this Todd Bowles coach defense. And it's going to be a handful, no doubt.
All right, Ed, we got to get you on record. And before we do that, si.com/Eagles/NFL, EagleMaven.com. Read Ed's work, does a phenomenal job covering this team. Give me a score, Eagles, Bucs.
I think it's going to be a lot of points for the Bucs, probably about 35 of them. And I don't think it's going to be quite as much for the Eagles. I'm going to say probably 21. Maybe 24, but I'm going to go Bucs 35, Eagles 21.
We're very close this week. We're very close. We're very close this week. You and I.
Yeah. Well, I just don't see how it can happen for the Eagles. Listen, I don't. Maybe they'll surprise me, but when you look, like I said, when you looked at this schedule when it came out in April or May, whenever it was, you look and say, "Oh my gosh, the Chiefs lost. Oh my gosh, the Bucs lost." I mean, and there's nothing that's been done in the interim to change my mind that it's going to be a loss.
As a matter of fact, I remember week 1, you and I almost had the exact same score, Ed. I got a little closer. If John said you're close, I guess I'm going to be the optimistic Eagle fan. I didn't say I was picking the Eagles, but Ed's got him down by 2 touchdowns. I actually think the Eagles will do more offensively against this Bucs defense tonight, but we shall see. Mr. Kracz, always a pleasure. John will see you down to save. You leaving now? We got you off the
I'll see you down there in an hour.
Get down there.
Nice. I'm going to be the guy doing 45 with his flashers on.
Ed, they moved it up. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff. You got to get down
there. Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, guys.
Sports Illustrated, our guy here on Birds 365. All right, Johnny and I still got an hour left to go. We got much more to break down on the Eagles and the Tampa Bay Bucs. Come right back with us here on Birds 365.